Hello and happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Welcome to this week's Chew and Chat. I'm Ron Rayfield, and this is my lovely, beautiful, wonderful Valentine slash co-host, future wife, Justine Dorn.
Oh, okay, you really put me on the spot now, and I'm all
The biggest
flustered.
pedestal I can put you on. This week we have made a chocolate pudding, or a chocolate cream as they call it back then. And I would normally say go over to see Justine make it, but if you'd like to see me make this, please go over to our main channel. That's Early American. Over there we cook it.
And here we eat it.
And here we eat it.
This is from the Cook's Dictionary, published in 1830. And we had to do chocolate for Valentine's Day.
Yes.
I mean, it's mandatory.
I mean,
mandatory.
That's what you want to see, right? It's chocolate.
That's what we want to see all the time.
It's what I want to eat. It's chocolate.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to dig into this. We've already tried it, and it is
yes, it
delicious.
is good. Now, this is unique. Usually, I'm giving the rating on Justine's cooking, on how I think she did, how she interpreted it, how it turned out, etc., etc. You know the drill. So today, she gets to ridicule me on how she thinks I did with this receipt.
Should I just say it now?
Go ahead.
Ronnie did great. I think this is how it's supposed to be. This is good. This is good. This is good. I mean, I would say this is a 10 out of 10.
Oh, thank you.
This is excellent. Or maybe a 9.5 out of 10, just because the best historic chocolate dessert we've ever had was that chocolate tart from last year's Valentine's video. That one we just talk about non-stop. It don't matter. Summer, spring, fall, winter. We always go ranting about that chocolate tart. So make sure you guys watch last year's Valentine's Day video on Early American as well, because that was a 11 out of 10.
And I'll put that as a suggested video at the end of this video, so it will come up. That one was decadent. That one had more chocolate, and that's my only gripe about this one. It needs more chocolate.
That's right. It did give us exact measurements for everything in the receipt, so Ron followed it to a T, so this is how it would have been 200 years ago.
Our hunk of chocolate was roughly 8-9 ounces, and it said to use 4 ounces. I think it would have been so much better.
It was 2 ounces.
Oh, 2 ounces. Well, no wonder it wasn't chocolatey enough. It should have used a whole bunch more.
Yes, it should have. I think so, yes. But it's still very good.
But it's not grainy. It had me strain it. So that's why we put it through that fine sieve to get out any of the sugar or eggs that had possibly scrambled, because we were cooking eggs like you would cook a custard.
But here's the thing, none of the eggs scrambled.
They didn't.
Nope, they didn't.
It still said to do it, so I had to do it.
Yeah, you did it correctly. Behind the camera, I taste tested it every step of the way, and even before you added the chocolate, I tried it, and it was smooth like melted butter. It was good. There was no graininess, there was no clumps. And
it was just milk, egg yolks,
and powdered
cream
sugar.
And powdered sugar.
Yeah.
And it wasn't eggy, and it was delicious. It would have made a great egg custard, if you will.
Oh, this is so good.
This is pretty good. I'm going to give it a 9.5 as well.
Okay. Now, why the 0.5? Is it for the same reason I said? The chocolate tart?
Yeah, the chocolate.
Okay. Oh, we might not talk much. Guys, this is so good.
And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of chocolate in this, but compared to the chocolate tart, I'm giving it 9.5.
That chocolate tart, you could have dropped it on the table and would have broke the table.
I'm sorry we're still beating that dead horse. We're not going to shut up about it. And it's going to be 10 years from now, I'm like, you remember that chocolate tart?
It's haunting us. But this is very good, too.
This is the best chocolate pudding I've ever had.
This is the best chocolate pudding I've ever had.
Yeah, so Jell-O or Snack Pack or whatever they're called.
Take a hike.
Yeah, take a hike.
No, this is good.
Excuse me for a moment.
You know, this would be a great dessert, too, for a kid. Like, even in the 21st century, make it last, make it last. If you like to cook for your kids at home,
so good.
Whip this up. Was not hard at all to make. Ingredient-wise, also very simple. Feed it to your kids. Lord knows what's in the chocolate puddings you get from the store. There's probably some suspicious things in that. There ain't nothing suspicious in this.
I actually had a Snack Pack back in the summertime, and it didn't taste like I remember it. Obviously, things changed over the last 30 years from the 90s when I was a kid.
That and your flavors, they kind of change. Your standards get higher.
That's right. And so, but this is delicious, and it's all natural. It might be a little bit more fattening than a store-bought one, but who cares? At least it's natural, and you know what's in it.
All natural sugar.
But anybody can make this on your stovetop at home.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to put it in the fireplace. You can if you want to. Just be careful. But you can do it at home, and it's delicious. The colder, the better, I would say.
I would say yes.
Now, we stuck this in our bake oven because there was no fire in it, and it's a stone, oven, so it's ice. It's ice cold in there right now.
Yeah.
And it got it really firm and cold. But
yeah, the colder the better. Maybe even pop it in the freezer for a little bit at home.
Oh, yeah.
That might be a real good idea.
Because we tried it when it was still hot. It was good, but
yeah.
when it gets cold, it takes on a different flavor.
This is fantastic.
Interesting.
Yeah, make this at home, guys. It's one of the easier historic receipts to try out at home. You'll not regret it. If you like chocolate, this is good.
Yes. Now, I do remember being promised that I could have milk. May I have a glass of milk with my chocolate pudding?
I do have to follow through with my promises, don't I? Okay.
Please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And thank you for the lovely note. Also, I have something here for you as well.
Something for me?
Yes, I have something here for you as well.
What? Are you... I didn't know that. You were going to give me something.
Well, that's the whole point of surprise.
Oh, it says Justine on it with a bunch of hearts. Well, thank you. Are you asking me to be your Valentine?
You have to open it up and read it.
Thank you for being my Valentine these last 3 years. I'm excited to have you as my Valentine for the rest of my life. Love, Ron. And you drew a heart with a face on it. That's very sweet. Thank you. I would like to be your Valentine. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you too. May I have a chocolate kiss?
Yes.
Guys, look away for a second.
Kids, cover your eyes. Thank you.
I love you very much, Ron. You're very, very sweet.
Thank you.
I'm gonna keep that.
Did you ever have to make those little Valentine's cards in school and give them to people in your class?
Yeah, you put it in the paper bag in front of their desk.
Yeah. We actually got to decorate like shoe boxes and cut a slit in it, so it was like a Valentine's card box.
I've seen those as well.
It was fun.
We had the paper bags where I was at, but that's cool too.
But hey, you got some info about Valentine's Day, don't you?
I do. So I got really curious. Okay, why do we call it Valentine's Day, and why do we celebrate it in February anyway? It's a dead of winter. What about this time of the year speaks romance to anybody?
You're inside, the fire's going. I don't know.
Oh.
It's cold outside.
Oh, you might have just cracked the code. I didn't even think about that. So I have a little sheet here. I wrote it all out. You didn't see that coming, did you? Okay, so there's two possible explanations for why Valentine's Day is named Valentine's Day. Now, coincidentally, there were two gentlemen whose last names just happened to be Valentine, and they both passed away roughly around the same time, and they were both executed by the same man. So you can tell already this is going to get kind of grim.
Yeah.
So the first contender for why Valentine's Day is named Valentine's Day. Emperor Claudius II banned soldiers from getting married. And the reason why he did that is because he was seeing that his soldiers were getting distracted by women and they were getting distracted by their own children. And he thought that single men made better soldiers than married men because they would take more days off to spend with their kids. That's unacceptable for Claudius.
Makes sense, but it makes him a jerk for doing that.
It makes him a jerk. He was a jerk for a lot of reasons. So he actually banned soldiers from getting married. However, a gentleman named Valentine, or Valentinius, he would secretly marry these soldiers, but he was found out and he had to stand in front of Emperor Claudius and he was sentenced to death for defying the emperor.
Wow.
So that's the first possible contender for why we call it Valentine's Day.
I think I've heard that theory before, the one you just described.
Yes, and so the idea is that he was secretly marrying people, he was bringing people together. It's very romantic. Or it could have been named after another gentleman who lived in the same time period, is Valentine of Terni. He was also coincidentally sentenced to death by the same emperor, Claudius II, also in the 3rd century, because he refused to stop preaching Christianity. So no one knows for sure.
It could have been a conglomerate of the two things.
Exactly, it could have been. However, it's more likely to actually be the second gentleman that I just said, because why do we celebrate Valentine's Day in February? So why February? Valentine of Terni, the gentleman I just mentioned, is said to have been martyred in February. He died in February. So we celebrate the anniversary, or I shouldn't say celebrate, we remember the anniversary of his death every single February.
Okay.
Also, there's multiple theories, though, why it's in February. It could just be a coincidence. But during the Middle Ages, in Europe, especially France and England, the beginning day of bird mating season was February 14th.
Caw-caw! Caw-caw!
Yeah. And they would celebrate it because it was supposed to kind of mark, okay, spring is around the corner.
Okay.
It's bird mating season. It's fertility and all that stuff.
I see.
Now, is it a coincidence? I don't think it is. I think it has something to do with that. And that also added to the idea that Valentine's Day is a day for romance and spending the day with your mate.
I think all of it makes sense.
All of it makes sense. It all just kind of came together. However, Valentine's Day was not recognized as a romantic holiday until the 1300s. So before then, there was some mentions of Valentine's Day before then, but it was more of kind of like a fertility thing. But now in the 1300s, we're talking about it in a romantic way. I love you, and all that. So the very first time that it was mentioned in a romantic way was in a poem written by an English poet named Geoffrey Chaucer. I hope I'm saying that right. Please,
Chaucer.
I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. He wrote a poem in 1375, and it was called Parliament of Fowls. And the only line in it that mentions Valentine's Day in a romantic way, for this was sent on Saint Valentine's Day, when every fowl cometh there to choose his mate.
Oh.
So
Okay.
that's the first mention of Valentine's Day being kind of a more romantic way where you're actually going out to choose your partner, aka love and all that. So Valentine's Day actually goes back a very, very long time.
It does.
Hundreds of years. It's not a new holiday. Now, obviously, in the 1800s, it got commercialized, as in you could go to the market or the store and buy Valentine's cards. Especially the Victorians were obsessed with these pretty, pretty cards, especially around 1900. But in our time period, people would actually make Valentine's cards for one another.
So there's some period examples.
Yep, that are still surviving.
Yes.
Which is amazing to think about because, I mean, these were very common. But when you think about it, have you personally at home, have you ever saved a Valentine's card? Like something from...
No.
That's why no one has these cards from 200 years ago. It's because no one saves these things.
I only save birthday cards and Christmas cards from like my grandparents or something.
Exactly, yeah. We usually only save maybe a card from someone that means a lot to us, but a lot of people don't even save Valentine's cards at all. So it was very common to write Valentine's cards in the early 1800s, but people didn't save them.
May as well stow us in the fire.
No! Ron, don't you dare! I'm gonna save that so 200 years from now, we have actual proof that they wrote Valentine's cards in the 21st century, because everyone just throws the stuff away because it's common every day for them, and that's why we don't have a lot of these artifacts anymore.
That is true.
Yes.
Well, hey, this past week we took a trip up to Samson Historical that we mentioned last week, and we got to be part of a photo shoot for their new catalog that comes out in March, and they've got some new items that they are releasing that you cook with or eat with, and also clothing items.
A lot of new things.
We got to be models for one day, and that was quite the experience.
We mentioned it in our last video that Samson Historical just called me one day out of the blue. They've never called me. They've always emailed me and messaged me.
Yeah, usually just message.
I got a call and they say, would you be interested in being in our catalog? I'm thinking,
yeah?
Yeah, I am, but do you guys know that I'm 5'3" and I don't exactly look like a model? Oh, no, it's okay. We still want you. You know, I mean, they were very, very nice. It was a very good experience over there.
Oh, yeah.
I think I changed into 7 outfits in one day. Ron, you did fantastic.
So did you. You did very fantastic for never being in front of a camera like that with a guy giving you instruction. You did an amazing job.
The only one that's ever photographed me has been you.
And I don't really give instruction.
No.
But the photographer that they were working with, the guy was amazing, top notch.
Well, he was laid back too, which made it.
He was very
easy to work with.
Directive and descriptive, so he was easy to work with. He did a fantastic job.
Yeah, we got to stay in an apartment that Samson had in their factory there. We really appreciate that. Thank you guys. We were there for 2 days. And then afterwards, we went to, what's the name of that place?
We went to Conner Prairie. It's
an 1830s living history farm museum.
Yeah, lots of buildings there. It's pretty neat.
It was really, really neat. Yeah. I had a good time there, even though it was the off season. It was wintertime. Wintertime is the off season for these kind of places, but it was good. We had a neat time. We always try to stop at every museum and antique store whenever we go traveling anywhere.
Hey, speaking of antique store, that brings us to this week's weird history subject.
This week's weirdest history fact. Go. Boom.
Now, you might be wondering, what in the world is this little device right here?
Give them a second to guess. What do you think it is? Let's give them options. Do you think this is a dueling pistol? B, some form of cooking tool?
It does look like your nutmeg grinder.
It does. Or C, something that you shave your face with? Or is it D, a lighter? Okay, so what do you think it is, guys? Take a look at that. Now there's a trigger here.
Yep.
There's a flint.
Yep.
Like with a gun.
Yeah, like a pistol.
There's a handle, like, you know, a grip and everything, like with a gun. There's a stock on it, and you could call it that. So what is it, Ron?
It is a Flintlock lighter.
It's a lighter?
It's a lighter. They had lighters back in the 18th, 19th, and parts of the 17th century even. So we're talking back at the 1600s. They were making these Flintlock pistol lighter thingamajigs. I don't know what they officially called them. I call it a Flintlock lighter.
Thingamajig. But that's what lighters used to look like, and it wasn't a weird one-off thing like some dude in one town had this lighter. There are thousands of surviving examples of these lighters from the 18th and early 19th centuries. This was what lighters looked like back then.
Pistol-shaped Flintlock lighters first appeared during the first half of the 1600s and gained popularity by the 1700s. It remains unclear if the majority of these lighters were made by gunsmiths or craftsmen because usually they are quite crude looking. So if one is really fancy, it was probably made by a gunsmith. If it is very crude looking, it was probably not made by a gunsmith, just made by a tinkerer. A lot of fancy ones come from France, and then the more crude ones seem to be English or German.
Oh.
Now, in general, tender lighters work just like a pistol. There's the hammer and the cock, you cock it back with the flint on it, and then there's the frizzen, and when you pull the trigger, it strikes, it makes the sparks falling down into the pan where you'd have your tinder, and it would start to smolder. So some of these were more well equipped than others. They would have a little socket off to the side where you could stick a candle in. So you could light your candle, stick it in there, you can walk around with it.
So it doubles as a candlestick holder.
Yes.
They thought of everything.
Now there are some early ones that use a slow burning match that have a spool with essentially a cord or a piece of rope for those that don't know what a slow match is. And it would light and it would smolder so you'd blow on it.
So when did these kind of lighters first appear in history?
These first appeared in the first half of the 1600s.
Okay, so the early 17th century.
Yes,
sometime.
early 17th century.
I guess no one knows exactly
nobody knows.
Day.
Yeah, nobody knows exactly who or where because it's all kind of it's very vague.
I understand. They didn't really have people patenting things back then, so it just kind of popped up here and then it popped up there around the same time.
But I have always wanted one of these. They're so cool. They're very hard to find.
Cheap.
Now these fell out of favor in the early 1800s. By the time we get to 1820, there's a version of I'll call it a gas lighter. It runs off hydrogen, I think. It's not petroleum yet. So it's hydrogen powered. But
Sounds safe.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it's sad. They kind of downgraded actually.
Yes. Now that was invented by a man named Wolfgang Doberrainer in 1823 in Germany.
The most German name.
Yes. Now there were other types of striker lighters, if you will, that used other chemicals and gases and stuff. But what really made this thing obsolete was the match. Now matches have been around in some form or another for a really long time, since around the year 900, I believe, over in China. But there was all these men and scientists. There were all these scientists and inventors who were trying to perfect it in Europe. And it took forever to catch on. I found accounts from the 1500s, 1600s, and 1700s of men trying to develop the match, and they just never get it right. But by the 1830s, they got the match right, and it caught on in Europe. So they had no use for this anymore. So they were just using the match that would just you'd strike it, and then it'd be a flame.
It'd light very easily, but
way more convenient.
Yes, but he said 1830. That's when it was perfected. But that didn't stop people from still selling them.
Right.
In the early 1800s, I've seen dozens and dozens of illustrations of match girls, which are girls that would go around selling matches in the street. And these are prints from 1815, 1810 to 1820. So matches were so popular in the early 1800s that in the cities, at least, women would just walk around with a box in their hand selling matches.
Hey, you want to buy some matches?
What matches? 10 matches for a pence, please. You know. So they were pretty common in the early 1800s, but they weren't perfect.
Right.
Like they are now until the 1830s.
There were wax-covered matches. There were glass-covered matches.
What?
The ends would be in glass, so it secured whatever kind of chemical residue was on it.
That sounds expensive.
Yes, they were expensive. These were the more primitive ones. There were cotton matches that were made out of cotton. There's all sorts of things. Wow. But anyways...
Tell him the bad news,
The bad news about this is...
The one he's holding in his hand.
I've wanted one of these for so long.
Years.
Yes, for the last 2 years, I've been on the hunt for one. I've only seen one in person. It was at the Missouri State House Museum, the first capital of Missouri, which is in St. Charles, Missouri. They have one on display sitting on one of the secretary desks in the Capitol room there. And I've wanted one so bad. They're so cool. I like cool little things like this. But anyways... We went to this antique store over the weekend, and I'm looking through the glass cases. I never look in the glass cases.
Me either. I rarely do.
It's a lot to process, so I usually just look at the stuff that's outside of the cases. And I thought, you know what? I'll just for funsies, I'll look. And I'm looking. It's like, you know what? It'd be really cool if I found one of them lighter pistols in here. Sure enough, literally 2 seconds later.
That's crazy.
I see this
in a glass case.
Yes, and I think. Oh my gosh. I was like, Justine, get over here. Look at this.
I came a-galloping.
And to our eyes, this is what we've been looking for.
Yeah.
And I said, that thing's going to be a fortune. And I look at it, it says $65. I was like, oh my gosh, we got to buy it. I don't care if it's broke.
Now on eBay, these sell for $500 to $1,000+.
Oh, for the actual
real ones.
They go higher than that.
I believe you.
They go up. I've seen them go up to 3,000 and even 5,000, depending on how decorative they are. Because there are reproductions from the 1960s and 70s that were made in Italy, and they still go for close to $1,000. But this was $65. So I thought, it's either stolen, it's broken, I don't care, I want it.
And it was on clearance.
It was on clearance too. There was 20% off, so I actually paid like $50 or something.
Yeah.
So I go tell the lady at the desk, hey, I'd like to have the case open. I want to buy an item out of there. So she comes over there with the key, and she gets it out. This thing's all dirty. I've wiped it off since we've been home with it. And she gets it out. She hands it to me, and I say, oh my gosh. And I said, can you please wrap it up for me? So she takes it immediately, and then we finish our adventure for another hour through the antique mall. We check out. When we go to check out, it's wrapped up and everything. I get home, and I go to pull it back.
Wait a minute.
What's going on here?
What's going on here?
I'm checking it out. Wait, what's in here? Why is there a...
Why does it lift up like that?
Why is there a cotton wick and a
striker?
A striker in
like
here?
For a modern day lighter.
Why does the trigger not do trigger things?
We got fooled. It's a toy lighter.
I was bamboozled.
Apparently, this was a thing that this one company made in the 1920s as kind of like a gag gift, I guess.
It's an actual...
Oh, it just broke. Okay.
It is broken to you. It is a striker lighter that runs off of petrol or gas.
Like a Zippo.
Yes.
It's a Zippo lighter.
It's a Zippo lighter in there.
This is full of, when you have it fixed, this is full of lighter fluid. And then you open this, and there's like a cotton wick in here. It's from the 1920s. It was made to look like a ye old thing, but it's kind of...
I had no idea.
It's not real.
Now, I did run the numbers on this. This is a Dunhill from the early 1930s. These are worth about $400 if they're in good condition. Well, this one is broke, as you can see, and it does not work. So that's why it was $65. So, I'm even more mad.
It doesn't even work.
It's worthless.
Oh.
I was so bamboozled. I thought I found the real thing. I did not know these existed. I don't want this.
I had no clue that was a thing.
So I will probably just put this together. It is missing the little leads that make it sit up nice. I'll probably fabricate those with some iron that I have in the shop, and then it'll just be a an ornament on the shelf, I think, until I find somebody that wants it for $5 or something. But if you have a real one, you want to sell it, please contact me for a reasonable price only. I really want a real one. I don't want this. I don't want an actual gas lighter. I want one where you pull the trigger and it's gonna strike and make sparks.
It's the most ornate Zippo I've ever seen.
It is.
Basically.
It is cool, but
I've never seen a
work.
lighter that looks like this. That has. Have you seen a lighter that has a literal gun trigger? I've never seen one before.
Yeah.
So I wish we could show you guys something really cool, but unfortunately...
That's the best we can do, because we thought it was the real thing, but you live and learn as you go, and I thought I'd reached the pinnacle to where nothing could fool me anymore. Well,
we got fooled.
I got fooled.
You could only look at it from behind the glass, and Ron just got so excited that when the lady took it out, he's like, okay, I'll check out now.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can't show him this, but... You can technically kind of show them how it works a little bit if you get your gun and you show them how the flint will create a spark.
Now this is not loaded, and I'm going to lay it across Justine here. So
oh, should I stay here or should I move?
You can sit. You can help me hold. We'll just put it right here like this.
I see you ate it all. I did too.
Oh, did you? I was hoping there was some left because I'd like to eat some more.
Nope, it's gone.
Well, we might have to make some more.
I even use a super small spoon on purpose so it lasts longer.
Dang it. Okay, so like I said, it's the same basic principle as a regular firearm, except where the pan is, where you put your priming powder, on a flintlock lighter, you would put tinder down in there, or charred cloth. So whenever you do this, you pull it back to full cock, and you give the trigger a pull. It makes the sparks. The sparks would drop down into the hole on there, and it would smolder. And as you blow on it, it would make a flame. You could take a candle and light the candle really quickly. And like I said, some of those even had a socket on the side where you can stick the candle on it, so you can walk around with like a flashlight candle.
Do it again so they can see the spark. It's pretty cool.
I'll hold it up so you guys can see. And here we go.
Now, if that spark was hitting gunpowder,
it
would shoot.
Yes, it would.
But there's it's not loaded, obviously.
But no gunpowder goes in the lighter at all.
No, not in the lighter.
No, no way.
Or else it would explode. I mean,
yes, that would be bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd really like to have one of those one day.
So they call it, when we say flint, we're talking about, there's literally a
piece of flint.
It's a rock.
The rock is actually harder than the steel, so when it hits the steel, it's shaving off little flakes of steel, and that's where the sparks are coming from. Now, it's called a lock because the lock means mechanism. This is a mechanism. Oh. So it's a flint lock.
Lock, stock, and barrel.
Yep. Lock, stock, barrel.
Barrel. Yeah.
And what's the other one?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Going off half cock?
Oh, yeah.
Or flash in the pan.
That all comes from these old guns, right?
Now, I don't know if there's another one. I think that's the only three.
Yeah, flash
or you ramrod. Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Ramrods can be stubborn sometimes. So.
Wait, let me try to get this.
Good luck.
It's stuck on there, isn't it? Oh.
Careful. Now, I'll be honest with you guys.
No, it's on there good.
This gun does shoot, but it has been up on the wall there for a while, so it is a little seized up.
This is kind of our display gun. Now, there's another one that you use.
Yeah, the other one we be sure to take extra care of. This was actually the first flintlock that I owned. It's a Traditions kit rifle, so I'm not that, what should I say, worried about it. Now, it's not in bad shape. It's getting patina on it, if you will.
Compare the two, the size of a lighter versus...
Now, there are pistols that are this size, little pocket pistols. Ladies would carry them.
Yeah, ladies would carry them on them.
The barrel is only about this long, so they're self-defense.
I always wonder what the recoil would be like. Come on, I hear a mish-mish. Come on, kitty. Get mish-mish.
All right.
I'll go ahead and put this back over the fire.
Come on, kitty. Mish-mish. Come on. Here he is.
Hey, Mitch. So to get a little bit on the downside, a little sadder news now. My grandpa did pass away 2 days ago. He was my only living grandfather. My other one passed away before I was even born of stomach cancer, probably from spraying his crops on the hog farm that they lived on, because no one else in my family has cancer, so it doesn't really run in our family. But my mom's dad died 2 days ago. He was 97 years old. Rest in peace, Grandpa Isha. He was born in the 1920s in Syria, and they had to flee from Syria in the 1980s, but he had the most amazing life from day one. He had so many amazing stories.
I bet so. Living that long.
He provided for my mom's family so well. So my mom's side grew up very, very poor. They actually grew up in a single room, mud, adobe house in the Middle East, Christian minority group. They are Assyrians. You can read about them in the Old Testament of the Bible. There still are Assyrians to this day. There's many of them. They speak Aramaic, actually the language that Jesus speaks. And so they grew up very poor, one room, adobe house. There was a little gas burner in the corner. They all slept in the same room. And they didn't have food, really. Like, my mom would tell me that growing up, they had a little garden in the back where they would just grow, like, vegetables, and they'd eat whole wheat bread and lentils. And so my grandpa Isha, he was the one that had to provide for the whole family. So he would go hunting, and the only meat that they ever ate was from my grandpa hunting game birds. That was if it wasn't for my grandpa, they would have starved for sure. And then they came here in the 80s to try to get a better life and to escape from the politics out in the Middle East, as you can imagine. And they did very, very good in America. They worked in factories here, and then they built themselves up, and they made a very good life for themselves in this country. And my mom's side, they absolutely love this country because they've seen the other side, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandpa Isha, he was such a good man, but he was 97 years old. He was super intelligent until the day he passed. I mean, he had his driver's license until I think it was 3 years ago. They finally said you shouldn't have your driver's license anymore. But 4 years ago, he was in his 90s. He took a road trip by himself to Canada. His car broke down, and he had to hitch a ride from a truck driver, and he was in his 90s. He was so sharp to the very end. Very, very sharp, smart guy. And I said a prayer for my grandpa when I found out that he passed away. But I'll say another prayer for him right now. Dear God, please take my grandpa Isha into your arms. Isha Lamundo. Please take care of him and bless him. Please forgive him of all of his sins. We all sin. No one is perfect except for you. And thank you for giving him to us and all the years that we had with him. He's very loved and very missed. Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen. I had the privilege of meeting Justine's grandfather last summer, or summer before last, in 2022 when we went up there to visit them in Chicago. He was a very nice man.
He's a very nice man. He was just asking, Ron, do you hunt?
Yeah, he asked me if I hunted.
Do you hunt? Do you get the meat?
Do you know how to use a gun?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you're a good man. You're a provider. You're a provider then.
Yeah, he's a very nice man. And,
yeah, it was very nice.
I didn't get to hear very many stories. Our visit was short, but from what Justine's told me, is lived quite the adventurous life.
Very adventurous life.
From going one side of the world to the other side of the world is, full of stories on its own, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then the amount of time that he was here on this earth.
97 years.
Lots of stories. You can only imagine.
Right.
The stories.
Yeah, so rest in peace, Grandpa Isha. We love you very much. I know you're watching on us right now. So that's my sad news, I suppose, for the day. But then on a lighter note, we do also want to thank our viewers and our fans for really making a big difference in our lives.
Oh, yes.
Actually, a couple days ago we had lunch at Cracker Barrel.
Of all places.
Of course, they knew to pick a good spot with a lovely couple that we met through the show.
Yes.
Laura and Donald.
Laura and Donald,
They're
yes.
very, very good people. We met them through the show. They're very friendly. They comment all the time. We actually met them at the Christmas market.
Yep.
At Fort Duchard a couple months back around December. And they're just super nice, so we agreed to have lunch with them at Cracker Barrel, and thank you, God, for sending us people like those,
Yes.
for really helping us to feel motivated to keep going on, you know?
Also, speaking of the fort, there is a spring market coming up the first weekend of April, so if you'd like to come down to Fort Duchard to see certain unique historic items, that's the day to do it.
We'll be there, and they have a tea party for ladies every single year.
Yes.
That's really incredible.
Now, you have to be in period clothing to take part in that.
But it's free. If you're a reenactor, you just show up. You have to be a lady. And it is absolutely incredible. When I took part of it last year, there was a guy playing violin. There was a bodyguard at the door so no men could get in. The fireplace.
They said, nope, come back afterwards. So I went back afterwards and I was able to get the leftover cookies and stuff. But I was jealous.
We had 5 courses.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Us men were jealous outside.
And they just threw it as a appreciation for women. They said, appreciation for us and all that we do.
That was nice.
So that was very nice of them.
Could you do me a favor?
Yes,
Could you
sir.
grab one of those small little sake dishes up there?
Okay.
Mish deserves a little...
What are you going to give Mish?
A little nightcap because he's wanting to go to sleep.
Oh, you're going to give him some milk?
You can have just a little bit of milk.
Okay.
There you go.
Here you go, Mish.
Some fresh, whole milk. Nom, nom, nom.
There he goes.
Well, guys, we really appreciate y'all being here. We hope that you have a great Valentine's Day. And don't eat too much chocolate.
Too late.
Too late. Well, it ain't too late for me. I didn't eat enough yet. But just know, even if you're single out there, we love you. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Take care. We love you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.